We're going in with just positive thoughts and affirmations because at this point, I don't have a choice. You do you. More power to ya. I don't care.
I'm Nora, and this is also known as Nora.
Hello, I'm Nora, and you're watching, also known as Nora Knits. Thanks so much for coming to hang out with me today. We have another podcast episode, and I honestly just can't believe how close we're getting to Christmas. If you've never been here before, like I said, I'm Nora. I'm coming to you from a small farm in Connecticut. And basically, here on this channel, we enjoy the fun and lightheartedness of crafting, and we embrace all of the imperfections that make something so perfectly handmade. So if that's something that resonates with you, then I hope you'll stick around. I've got, I don't know, just like a funny little update. Just a good old update for you guys today. Nothing major has happened. I guess we do have a finished object. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of plans. I've got my whips and I do have a finished object apparently. It's like already slipped my brain. I swear the holidays are just turn my brain into mush. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive on in. I would like to start today with my Christmas dress, which is the Augustins number 25 by Anne-Sophie Velling. And if you've been here for a little bit, you know that this has not been the most smooth sailing, and for my own reasons, my own fault only. But we are now in a good place. We've just been rocking and rolling in honeycomb. Last week, I was talking about the fact that it was becoming very clear that if I wanted to knit this dress in the full length as it is pictured in the pattern, which I do, then I probably was not going to have enough yarn. So I definitely looked into it a little bit more over the past week, and I did make the decision to order more yarn. So I am knitting this dress using 2 Drops yarns. One of them is Drops Fabelle, and the other is Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk, and they're both in the red colorway. Of course, it's a Christmas dress. And basically, I am knitting this dress very much off gauge, and I also switched around the yarns that were called for in the original pattern, and due to those reasons, I was short on yarn. So I'm knitting this dress off gauge and in the bodice in the size 5, and then in the skirt of the dress, the size 6. And I originally had purchased 11 balls of the Drops Fabelle and 12 of the Brushed Alpaca Silk, and this is what I have left. So since that original order, I have now used up all but 4 balls of the Drops Fabelle and 2 of the Brushed Alpaca Silk, and I don't have enough to get me through what I have. So I did make the decision to go ahead and order more yarn that should be here in the next few days, I hope. And because of that, you were all so wise in your recommendations. Everyone said, like, jump to the sleeves. It's time, because last week I was just trying to figure out kind of where I was at. Once I decided I was going to need to purchase more yarn, I also made the executive decision to just keep going in the honeycomb skirt. It's going to be a long dress. We will make it for Christmas. We're going in with just positive thoughts and affirmations because at this point, I don't have a choice. And it's not that serious. If it doesn't get done in time for Christmas, I'm still going to utilize this dress in the future. And at that point, I'll call it my Valentine's Day dress. So I'm not too worried about it. But I decided, because I was going to need to order more yarn, my best option was going to be to do the bulk of the dress in the original dye lot that I had ordered. That way, if there is any color discrepancy in the new yarn, it would mostly be used in the sleeves and the trim on the hem of this dress. So I disregarded everyone's best suggestions. And honestly, what I think would have been the best thing to do as well, if I wasn't in this situation, I would have gone ahead and started the sleeves. But to be safe in the color dye lot department, I decided to just go ahead and keep going in the skirt. And it definitely helps that I'm just enjoying the honeycombs anyway. So let's go ahead and see where we're at. I do feel like I made a lot of progress on this week. So it's almost to the point where I don't even know where I'm going to have to stand to show this to you. And this is actually the dress folded in half. So my arm is fully extended, and this is where we're at on the skirt. The whole thing doesn't even fit in the frame at this point. So we have made good progress. Let me go ahead and measure the progress for you. So progress keeper from last week is right here under my finger there. So we have knit from here down to here in the last week. So it looks like over the past week, I've made about 8¼ inches of progress on that honeycomb stitch, which maybe we should also measure where we're at, because what did I say? So my overall goal is to have about 39 inches of skirt fabric, and that is including the final hem border that's on the bottom. Right now, it looks like we're just short of about 21 inches in the skirt, so there's still a good ways to go. I'm definitely glad that I went ahead and just ordered more yarn, and I think that we should just go ahead and try this on because I haven't yet. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get this switched over to the try it on tubing, which means we could do something that we haven't done in a really long time now. So let's go ahead and commence the try it on tubing and chat. It's pretty nice, isn't it? So while I get this moved over to the try it on tubing, like I said, I have not tried this on yet. I did when I finished the bodice. Every time I say bodice now, I think bust portion. So when I did first finish the bodice, I tried that on just to make sure that that little tube was going to work out, since I was playing around with the gauge issues, and that seemed to be totally fine at the time. Like I've said before, the bodice on this is a double layer of fabric, and it's definitely a little bit bulkier in my version of this dress because of the fact that the original pattern suggests that you knit the bodice out of a strand of fingering and a strand of lace mohair, and I decided to do my entire dress using the strand of fingering and the strand of brushed alpaca silk, which is of course a bit thicker than a strand of mohair would have been. So I do know that my double layer bodice is a little bit bulkier than it could be, but I also know that when I had tried this on when I first finished that part, it wasn't crazy. I mean, I don't have the biggest bust, so I have no issue adding a little something up there. But at this point, this project has been on the needles for 30 days. So that's not too bad, considering the fact that we have knit now a full double layer bodice. That was a good 12 inches. That was literally like knitting the body of a sweater. I didn't realize when I went into it how much knitting that would be. So we've done that, plus the, what did I just say, nearly 21 inches of honeycomb stitch in 30 days. I mean, now that I say it out loud, it's like an inch a day. Is that impressive? I'm impressed with myself. If you didn't know, over here we are hashtag Team Snail Stitches. And you can use that hashtag on Instagram if you would like to keep in touch with everyone's projects over here. But the progress, I don't know, I guess it's been going by quickly. It feels like it's gone by more quickly than it does when I just blurt out those stats. And I had someone comment that they were totally picturing this dress with like black leather boots and all of that, and that's pretty close to how I'm thinking of styling this. it's so funny because to me, a short dress is just I almost never wear a shorter dress. I love to wear a midi length dress. So I feel like a lot of people are just more intimidating or more a lot of people I feel are a little bit more intimidated by a longer dress, but I'm on the taller side and I just feel like a short dress I'm never 100% comfortable in. I don't feel like I can move around and just I don't know, be comfy, be myself. And so I tend to reach for a longer dress, specifically something in a midi length. And I just feel like I could be more comfortable in that way. And I love dressing up or dressing down a nice midi length dress. So that was why I was reluctant to shorten this. But we are off the needles. By the way, if I didn't mention, the skirt is actually knit on 6mm needles, right? 6mm. Well, that's what I'm using. The pattern calls for 8mm needles. So if you're looking for a dress that's going to knit up pretty quickly, I do feel like this is a good option for you. Despite all the texture, it's knit on such a chunky gauge that it does go by pretty quickly. And let's go ahead and just tie this off. And with that, we can end the try it on tubing and chat. I did try to wear something that was like a little bit more fitted than I typically would today, just so that we could just pop this on right over that. I also thought it might be a cute look in general to wear this. Well, without the sleeves. If it didn't have the sleeves like over a long sleeve or something. So I just have this is an old store-bought sweater turtleneck. And yeah, let's go ahead and just pop this thing on. Okay, I'm not even gonna lie to you. When I held this dress up to myself in last week's podcast, I, of course, didn't put it on over my body. So I was holding the whole dress just up to myself. And the way that it was like poofing at the Empire waistline, I got a little nervous. I was like, this totally looks like she's expecting, and she's not. So I am so relieved actually to have this on, and I think that the fit is literal perfection. When I knit my swatch and checked my gauge, it was all based off of steam blocking it, and that is my intention for this because I've knit a long dress before, the All Good dress by Magdalena Parker, and I wet blocked that, and it's just a beast to wet block something so huge. And I just couldn't imagine this was going to be so heavy and just hanging. And I really didn't want it to lose too much of the texture. I really like the sort of dimension of the honeycombs. So I don't want to lose all of that, being that this is a lot of alpaca and the superwash, and I just don't want it to overstretch. So I did block this with a steam block just to kind of open things up a little bit, and that did work. So that's the plan for when I'm done with this. So the fit that I'm getting right now isn't far off from what it should be. I will say that I do feel like, and I'll have to see how I feel once this has sleeves on it, but I do feel like I could have knit the bodice maybe an inch even longer, because I do think that in order for that Empire waistline to hit me just right, I have to pull it down quite far. And I mean, obviously, it's fine when I'm wearing a solid turtleneck underneath, but the plan is to just kind of wear this, and it will have the sleeves and everything. And when I was knitting this, my thought was, I'm assuming that it's going to stretch a little bit, but I'm not getting a ton of vertical give in this as much as I am horizontal. So my sort of thinking ahead is, this is if this winds up being so low cut that even with the sleeves kind of holding it up, it's a little bit too much up here that I'm comfortable with, I'm thinking of just grabbing like a red lace trim or something and maybe adding something like that to the top here, at which point I probably would also add it like somewhere else to make it make sense. But Hopefully, we don't have to do all of that. Otherwise, the fit is exactly what I would have wanted. I don't like it when clothes, like, touch me, especially a dress. That's just not where I'm happy. I prefer something that's a little bit more A-line or just really oversized and boxy, and I feel like this skirt is doing that exactly, where it's just, like, hovering over my body in all of the right ways, and like I said, I am wearing this right now with just, like, some, like, tighter jeans so that you could kind of get an idea, but I think that the fit is just right, and at the moment, it's hitting me, like, right at my knee. So we're not so far off from the length that we should be at. I'm pretty excited. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this looking how we expected it to? I can't wait to see it with like the sleeves and then obviously without this underneath. I also feel like I just have to stand so far away for you guys to actually see the dress because it's getting to that length. Probably by the next time I try it on, it will have to be in a vertical shot. Like, I'm literally standing on my tippy toes just so that you can get an idea. I'm also super pleasantly surprised by just all the drape and the movement in it. It's still so lightweight, even though it has taken a lot of yarn so far. So, all is good. I'm really excited. This is why I don't like to try on my knits very often. I enjoy this sort of surprise factor, and I know at some point it's going to come to bite me in the you know what. But I do just enjoy when I do finally try something on and it does look like I was picturing it. It sort of reinvigorates my excitement for a project that has been on the needles for a little bit. 30 days isn't bad, but this has been, it's a big project. So I'm excited now. I hope you guys are too. Let me get this off and we can move our progress keeper and then talk about kind of the plans that I have. All right, let's go ahead and I think I want to just measure the skirt one more time while I do have it on the, try it on tubing, just to make sure that it wasn't being, like, contorted funny on the needles. Wow, yeah, so that's so interesting. Now that I have this off the needles, and I think also now that I gave it just, like, a good vertical shakeout, it is measuring closer to 22 inches. So that is so promising because basically with that trim, I still have not checked because I know I'm just not there yet. But with that additional trim sort of hem border, I'm thinking I have to knit honeycombs until I hit around 33 inches. So we're about 10 inches away. That also is equivalent to about 3 balls of the brushed alpaca silk. So I only have 2 here. The hope is that I will knit through the yarn that I have at the moment. Of course, the brushed alpaca silk, because I only have 2 of those right now, and the Fabelle I still have 4 of. But hopefully by the time I've knit through that, and of course the yarn that I still have attached to the dress at the moment, hopefully by the time I've knit through that, the new yarn shows up. So fingers crossed that next time we talk, I'm already knitting the new yarn. So exciting. And I'm going to detour for just a second into sort of an acquisition. I did receive a little bit of happy mail this week. Our friend over here, Kalura, sent over a few goodies that she crafts herself. And one of those things were these beautiful project keepers. And she actually sent me 2 sets in 2 different colors. I'm going to be keeping one and then hanging onto one for a future giveaway. So this is the one that I'm going to be keeping. They're like the most beautiful, I'm assuming some sort of epoxy, and they are like molded with these beautiful floral designs. And it's in this beautiful, beautiful green with the gold and a little pearl. And it's totally my aesthetic. And I thought that they would look so perfect to sort of Christmas up this dress. So I'm going to pop off the little apple marker that was from my friend Chelsea at Backyard Eclectic Fibers and save that for a future Appley season. And I'm going to switch it out for one of these little green ones. Let's see. Who do I want to hang as the progress keeper on this dress? I think that I'm going to go ahead and use this one. only because it's a little bit more lightweight. And this dress, I didn't mention yet, this dress is getting to the point where it is so cumbersome to get around. And I never felt that way with my All Good dress, which was longer than this one was, but that was in a fingering weight cotton merino blend. And it was easy to just kind of ball it up and stuff it into a bag. This like no longer fits into any bag that I own. I'm about to bust out one of those giant IKEA bags and like use that as the project bag for this because it's literally the size of just like a child. So the apple is going away until next apple season. And on goes this beautiful little green guy from Kalora. Excellent. I think that looks so cute. The little green. That was the thing too. The red apple was kind of getting lost inside of the dress. So that's going to be really fun to have. Like I said, have set some things away from Kalora for a future giveaway. But if you are interested in those progress keepers, then you can check her out at While They Play Designs. She also has a really beautiful book called Cozy Cables, and she sent that to me as well. I haven't had a chance to really sit down and look through this, but everything looks so beautiful. The first thing that I noticed, of course, was the photography. So thank you so much, Clara, for sending this. And I have to mention too, that her daughter has a shop of her own called Lauren's Sticker Co. And she sent me some goodies from her shop, some of which, like I said, I'm going to keep, and some of them I'm going to set aside for future giveaways. But these are just like the most darling little stickers. There's a whole bunch of them. I don't want to just spill them out all over the floor, but they're super, super, super cute. I'll do a few close-ups for you, as well as like a little washi tape and a notepad. So I'm keeping some of these little goodies. Thank you so much, Clara, and your daughter, of course. And I will set some of them aside for a future giveaway. So thank you. And yes, that is my Christmas dress, Augustins number 25. Been on the needles for 30 days, knitting through the yarn that I have, hopefully just in time for the new yarn to show up, and it should just be a few days before that gets here. So now we could talk about my Muscle Brew hat by Isolde Teague. This is the hat that I'm knitting for my boyfriend, and it is in Hedgehog Fibers, Skinny Singles, and the colorway Orca. And I honestly have not made much progress on this week. So really nothing much has changed. And I think that's just the way that it goes, right? There are some weeks where I get more time to actually sit and invest some time in my knitting. And then there are other weeks when it's just like, oh, we're watching TV. Let's grab something and have mindless handy things to do. So that is very much what this is for me, is my just sort of mindless in the dark knitting, and didn't get a lot of that this week. However, I was just saying, I wish I had a progress keeper to pop on this bad boy. So I'm going to throw one of those on there. Beautiful. Okay, so now week by week, we can actually see how much progress has been made, but not much has this past week. So I'll just put her away for now. Now, if you've got a keen eye, then you may have noticed I didn't mention my Corsavin cardigan today. Let me talk with you a little bit about my real plans for that right now. So the Corsavin cardigan is a sort of basket weave textured cardigan by Tanya Hodney, and I have had that on my needles for 132 days as of today, and I am putting it just on a brief hiatus. It's a project that I really want done, but without it needing to be done anytime soon, it's just been falling to the wayside and kind of stressing me out. So I'm making the decision right now to just not work on that until the Christmas dress is done, at which point I will work on that monogamously. And I say monogamously, but I mean in tandem with the muscle burr hat, if that's still on the needles. So I'm going to try and just whittle down these whips until I have sort of one garment and one accessory on the needles at a time. And just to get things sort of in shape and set me up for better success for 2024. And then I'm going to kind of reevaluate the way that I'm doing things. And I think I'll make a video on that if you're interested, on just like my real intentions and plans for 2024. So let me know if that's something that you'd want to see. But that's what's up with the Corsavin cardigan. So we're going to just kind of put that to the side until Christmas dress is done. So for now, let's go ahead and talk about my very random finished object. If you watched last week's episode, then you would have seen I was able to pick up some yarn at the thrift store, and that was the Knit Collage Pearl Soho Comet in the colorway Deep Space. And with it, I knit the free pattern by Pearl Soho to Space and Beyond, and I have finished it. This project was a absolute pain to knit up. I used US 10 needles, right? Is that no 10 millimeter needles, US 15s. And I used the entire skein of yarn. Now, I will say that the pattern calls, well, it doesn't call it. The pattern is written to be used with DPNs, and I simply do not have DPNs. So I decided to knit it in Magic Loop, and that was completely fine, of course. It's literally just knit in the round and then some simple decreases at the end. However, the decreases were written according to those DPN splits. So it said, have X amount of stitches on each of your DPNs. And I should have just thrown in a stitch marker so that I could see how those stitches would have been organized on DPNs, because basically then in the decreases, it said knit until the last 2 stitches on your needle and knit those 2 together. And I was like counting and just not really paying attention to it. And I wound up doing the decreases all sorts of funny. And I can actually see that it's like a little wonky, just like leans this way a touch. And then there's this funny bulge on the top, but I don't care. It decreased. You sew the top together, like very standard stuff. I like weaved in that little disaster of an end. And then basically I had a very long tail from my cast on, and the edge of the hat was just looking a little bit rough from the cast on. So I grabbed is it out? I have a giant crochet hook. It's also a 10 millimeter crochet hook, I believe. And I just did a single crochet all around the edge. Also because I felt like it was just a little bit short. Now I was knitting this off gauge. I wasn't using the right needle size. And so I was knitting the adult large, or the adult pattern, looking for the child size. And I feel like I definitely got that. I am able to get this on my head, but I literally gave myself a headache by squeezing it on my head, which makes me feel like that's the perfect size for a kid. I also mentioned last week that my plan for this is to actually line it with a fleece and then add a really fun tulle pom-pom to the top, which someone also commented, and I was like dying. She said, all I could picture is this kid walking around with like a loofah on her head. And I was like, holy crap, you were right. It totally could go that way, but I'm going to do it anyway and just do my best to make it non-loofah, because I really want just like a fun giant tulle pom-pom. So I didn't get around to that this week. I am hoping to bust out the sewing machine this coming week. So hopefully I could just kind of get that done while I'm at it. But I thought I did bring down just the fleece fabrics that I was talking about. So this is what I am going to use for this hat in particular. This is for a little kiddo that I know whose favorite colors are blue and purple. So I thought that this would be great to line the hat. And then I have a tulle. I have the whole bolt of tulle, so I wasn't going to bring that down here, but it is this sort of fuchsia color, and I thought that would make a really fun pom-pom. But I also have some of this more like sparkly tulle netting. It's not really a tulle, it's like a little mesh netting. So I thought that I could kind of add some of that in with the fuchsia tulle to make just a really spunky, fun pom-pom, especially, this has some sparkle to it. So I thought it would just kind of pull out all that Angelina sparkle in the hat. So maybe this gives you like a little bit better of an idea, but then imagine the fuchsia in there, especially because she's our purple girly. And we'll see if I get to knitting one of these. Again, there's another little girl who I think would like one of them, and she is who I was thinking to do the sort of baby pink lining for, and then I have just a light pink tool that I could use for her pom-pom, or maybe even some more of this. I don't think I'm going to see her before Christmas, so I have a little bit more time. And this literally, oh, I didn't even mention, this took less than 24 hours to knit. It's not surprising. It's the world's chunkiest hat. And it's a little bit ridiculous, but I think for a kid especially, it's pretty cute. So I'll see, because I have 3 skeins of this and this took 1. So I'll reserve the second skein for the little pink girly. And then basically, if our little blue girly likes this hat a whole bunch, then I was thinking I could use the third skein for her to do just like a little matching scarf or cowl or something, so that she could have a little set. Because I was thinking, I don't know, the other little girls that I know, I feel like they might be a little bit too cool for something so crafty looking. But overall, it was a pain in the butt to knit. I'm drawn to it anyway. I couldn't imagine knitting a whole sweater out of this. That being said, of course, I was not working with the right size needles. So maybe on a bigger needle, it's easier. But then the bigger the needle, the more uncomfortable I am. So it's a me thing. If you love this kind of yarn, like, you do you, more power to you. I think it's fun to look at, but it's an absolute beast to work with. So do with that what you will. And overall, for the $2 that I bought this yarn for, I'm very pleased. So believe it or not, those are all of my whips, my finished objects. Those are kind of my plans. Like I said, pretty just standard today. Nothing major has happened. That being said, as of today, I've got about 2 weeks until Christmas. So it seems like the amount of knitting that I got done on the Christmas dress over the past few weeks, leads me to believe that I should be able to get it done for Christmas. But it's just going to be a game of how much time can I put towards it. And that's part of why I think just knitting on it a little bit more monogamously will help to get it done without stressing out too much. And then I have a little bit of time after the holiday to hopefully wrap up some loose ends with the corsage cardigan. I'll be celebrating Christmas with my immediate family after Christmas. So I'm hoping to maybe pop out a little accessory or two in that small window. And really, other than that, just trying to get organized and see where we're at for 2024. I'm excited about it. I just would love to, without overdoing it, I'd love to get everything kind of off the needles before then. We'll see. So, other than that, you may have seen that I was able to put out another video this past week all about how you can spice or sparkle up your knitwear. And I think it's a fun one, especially if you have just been looking for something to shake things up a little bit in your knitting. So, if you haven't seen that yet, then I definitely recommend checking it out. Otherwise, if you would like to stay up to date a little bit more in real time, then feel free to follow me over on Instagram at aka Nora Knits. And really, that's all I have for you today. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something because it's such a short one, but that's a good thing, right? Like, no news is good news. Nothing major occurred. Nothing went wrong this week. And for that, I am grateful. So if you like this style of video, definitely please consider go ahead and giving this a thumbs up. You can certainly subscribe if you want to stick around and ring the bell to be notified when videos like this go up. Otherwise, big ol' thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next one. All right, you guys. Bye.